Okay, let's go ahead and see if we can understand basic equations in 7 minutes. Now, the topic of equations in mathematics is huge, so there's no way I could teach you all different types of equations like quadratic equations, logarithmic equations. It's impossible, but we certainly can kind of review and emphasize some of the things that you need to understand with more basic algebraic type equations in a short period of time. So, my goal here is to do these equations right here. Okay, so we'll start out with some real basic ones. Make sure you understand the fundamentals, and then we'll go on to a little bit more interesting problems. But with this, I'll be able to emphasize some things that I see students really struggle with because they don't understand the basics. That's why they have problems with more challenging problems. So let's go ahead and just really make sure you strengthen your fundamentals in equations. Now, let me state one thing here. Um, this is probably for somebody that's at the pre-algebra, algebra 1 level, or maybe another course. But I teach equations really thoroughly in my algebra course, not just these type of equations, but other types, quadratic equations, etc. So I'm going to leave a link to that course in a description of this video. But before we get going, let me introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of Tablet Class Math. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher, so I've been teaching this stuff for many, many, many years. So let's get into it now. All right, so here I have three basic type of equations. Now, I would suggest if you want to, maybe pause the video and see if you can do these three equations. Okay, just check your current level of understanding. Okay, make sure you show your work. Um, but let me go ahead and get into it now. All right, so here I have x plus 2 equals 4. When talking about equations, I'm talking about solving equations. All right, now let me just state something here real quick. All right, in an equation, here we have a variable. The goal is to try to find the value of x, okay? The value of x is going to be some number, and that number, if it is in fact the solution, is going to make the equation true. In other words, when we plug in that number, replace any x value in the equation, when we plug it in, it's true if the left-hand side equals the right-hand side. So that's the main concept of trying to solve an equation. Another thing about equations is this. In algebra, whatever you do to one side of the equation, okay, for example, the left-hand side, you have to do the exact same thing to the right-hand side. So these are just real fundamental concepts. But again, this is a short video, so much more to cover. But let's get into the mechanics right now. All right, first thing is when you're solving equations, make sure you show all your work. That's really critical and be super neat. So here we go. We got x plus 2 equals 4. The way I want to solve that is I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides of the equation, and I get x is equal to 2. Okay, you want to show your work just like this. Remember, the objective is I want to get x equal to some value, and what I did here was I subtracted 2 from both sides of the equation. Remember, um, whatever you do on one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side of the equation as well. Now, I'm skipping over a lot of other critical things here, but I'm assuming you already have some knowledge of equations right now. Okay, so the objective here really is to focus on the process or the mechanics, not so much the theory. Okay, I'm kind of trying to hit that a little bit, but let's continue on with our second problem. Okay, so how do we solve this? Negative 2x equals 6. Well, in this equation, I need to divide both sides of the equation by negative 2. Okay. Now, one thing I want to say is that you really make sure you know your positive and negative numbers really, really well, because that's another place where students kind of trip up with equations. So negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1, or positive 1x. So that's going to be x is equal to negative 3. Okay, so that's the solution to this equation. Now let's move on to this last one. Now here, okay, what I had to do was do some subtraction to both sides of the equation. Here I had to do some division. Okay, I'm dividing. Now in this equation right here, the best way to solve an equation when there's a fraction in front of the variable like so is just to flip that fraction. We call that the reciprocal. So that's going to be 3 over 2. And we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by the reciprocal. So whatever this number is here, flip it upside down, or i.e. the reciprocal, and then you want to multiply both sides of the equation by the reciprocal. So we're going to take this 5 and multiply it by 3 halves. 5 is the same thing as 5 over 1. So here, 3 halves times 2/3 is 1, or 1x, or just x. And this is going to be 15 over 2, or 15 halves. Okay, so that is the solution to this equation here. So make sure you understand the basics, because with equations, linear equations, we're just taking, let's say something like what I'm going to do down here. You're taking a big equation and you're just chipping away at it, rewriting it one step at a time until it becomes a small equation. But the steps that we're doing are generally the same. Okay, we're just kind of having to manage the problem down. All right, so what about an equation like this? All right, 2 times x plus 1 equals 7. Well, in algebra, anytime you see parentheses like so, this is an indication that you have to do the distributive property before you do anything else. So let's go ahead and do that now. So this is going to be 2 times x, or 2x, plus 2 times 1. All right, so that's going to be 2 equals 7. All right. Now this is a multi-step equation. Remember, anytime you see parentheses, you're going to have to go ahead and apply the distributive property when necessary. But at this point, I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Well, here we always take care of addition or subtraction first. So I'm going to get rid of this 2 by subtracting 2 from both sides of the equation. And that's going to give me, let me scoot this guy down here a little bit. This is going to give me 2x is equal to 5. All right. See how I'm kind of writing this down? And now here, this is a basic equation, something that we did like up here. Now we're just taking another step. And to solve for x, I just simply divide both sides of the equation by 2. So I get x is equal to 5 halves. And there you go. Okay. So again, just another kind of step up in how many steps we have to take to solve an equation. So let's go ahead and finish this video up with this equation here, because again, there's all kinds of different twists and things, but again, you're using the same fundamental steps over and over again to kind of whittle the problem down, if you will. All right, so here I have an equation, and as I said previously, if I see parentheses like so, quantity, this is an indication I'm going to have to do the distributive property first. So let's start off this way. So I'm going to have to multiply by that 2 by x and 1. So that's going to be 2 times x, or 2x, plus 2 times 1. That's 2. Now let's just write the rest of the equation out. Plus 10x is equal to 4x minus 6. Okay, now at this time, what you want to do is you want to combine like terms. So we have the left and right hand side of the equation. We want to simplify each of those sides by adding up anything that we can on the respective sides before we do anything else. So in this case, I have this 2x, I have this 10x. So these are like terms. I can add these together. A 2x and a 10x is 12x plus 2 is equal to 4x minus 6. So here I have a 4x and a minus 6. I can't combine these because these are not like terms. Again, I'm kind of skipping over a lot of things, but I'm kind of making that assumption that you have some sort of idea already of what's going on with equations, all right? We're just kind of doing a quick review here with this video. All right, now at this point, what you want to do is you want to move all your variables, okay, over to the left-hand side and move all the numbers over to the right-hand side. So let's go ahead and start with the variables first. So I have this 4x on the right-hand side. I want to move it over to the left-hand side. So the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to subtract the 4x over here, but if I do subtraction on the right-hand side, I'm going to have to do it over here on the left-hand side. So this is going to be 8x plus 2 is equal to negative 6. So I just moved my 4x over to the left-hand side, and now I just want to move all my numbers over to the right-hand side. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides of the equation like so, and I'm going to get 8x is equal to negative 8. All right, And last but not least, now I have this real basic equation. I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides of the equation by 8, and I get x is equal to -1. That is the solution. So what you're doing is you're taking this big equation and you're just continuing to rewrite it in a more simpler and simpler manner until you can actually solve the equation, all right, until you actually get to the solution. So it's not, when you're dealing with, of course, you could have fractions involved in decimals, etc. But where I see students really struggle is they don't even, really have the fundamentals down. So if you're struggling with equations, make sure you got the basics down really, really well. And then, these little more two-step kind of equations, and then you kind of get into the multi-step. Couple key areas that students make mistakes is dealing with positive and negative numbers. They do a lot of students confuse or make errors in solving equations with this. Another place students really make mistakes is the distributive property. Okay, like right here. So make sure you really have that distributive property down. Of course, I teach all this in my courses, but again, I'm kind of skipping over a lot of things, but hopefully this was a somewhat of a review, useful review for you. But let's go and wrap this video up. At the time of this video, I've been on YouTube for a good 12 years. Really love posting my math videos on YouTube, and I think I have hundreds and, well, like 700 videos on YouTube at this point. But I'm posting content all the time. I really enjoy doing that. So hopefully consider subscribing. Um, if you enjoyed this video, definitely appreciate a thumbs up and leave me some feedback. What course are you in? Are you in pre-algebra, algebra 1? Are you going back to school? Maybe you're taking the GED and you're just looking to learn about equations. So any feedback is good feedback. And last but not least, I'm going to leave a link to my algebra course in the description of this video. If you're in pre-algebra, if you just follow that link, it'll take you to my entire course catalog. I literally have over 100 math courses. All my courses are super comprehensive. So if you like my teaching style and you really want to learn from me, I mean, I truly get in and master all this stuff, then I think you'll love my courses. But with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics journey, and have a great day.